No.
But it's actually it's pretty cool. But I'll talk about it here in a minute.
Bill's just talking out his ass again.
Oh well, yeah. But sometimes
Oh,
my ass has
sorry.
some pretty interesting things to say. You never know.
They all smell though.
Well, I mean, it's an interesting way of talking about irritable bowel syndrome, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Of all the
Hey,
things we could,
I've already got a name. Irritable Bill syndrome.
Hey,
that's like, let his wife hear that one. She'll like that.
Yeah. If only she listened to any of the shows I make.
Oh, be thankful she doesn't, brother.
Probably.
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, the last podcast interview I did, I referenced my wife about 5 times, safe in the knowledge she's never going to hear it.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1, record. Oh, never mind. Hang on. Output. Recording. Hang on a second. Shit. I can't record. Oh well.
Eh?
Oh well, it's just going to have to be a good stream.
Oh, Craig's on.
Yeah, Craig's on. I always do an OBS backup recording. I just want
Oh
to
yeah,
do
yeah,
it
yeah,
this
yeah,
time.
yeah. Yeah, I did not.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, you can't change it once you've got all that other stuff running. It grays out all the settings. And,
Yeah, you have to stop it and restart
Yeah.
it, I think.
and,
change what?
the
you can't record
recording
after?
path.
Oh.
It-
Wait, how could you change the recording path? It's actually writing to the path.
Well, I changed out after I upgraded to 22.2, I changed out the hard drive for a bigger 4 terabyte because I filled up the 2 terabyte. So
22.2? What?
yeah. Oh, you've not been paying attention.
Start, so that we can then make.
Oh, okay.
listen
We're
to
already
the-
started.
Yeah,
No.
Linux OTC. Welcome to episode 57. I'm Bill.
I'm Eric.
I'm Majid.
And I'm wondering what 22.2 is.
Mint 22.2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's not
Wow.
a major upgrade, though. That's not
It's
a major
not
upgrade,
major.
though.
No, it's not. But I mean, it's got some nice kind of what do they call it?
Quality of life improvement.
quality of
That's
life.
it. Quality of life
Yeah, yeah.
improvements. Yeah.
Well, okay, the reason I'm asking is because you're talking about having to change the path of something. That makes me think that, like, 22.2 is bigger than I thought. What do you mean?
Well, no, because when I changed the hard drive, I changed the like whole way that I'm storing all of my production stuff.
So it has nothing to do with 22.2.
That it didn't. It was just I was waiting to change that
Oh.
hard drive for.
I
after
wasn't that
I
out of the loop
switched,
then.
Switched to no. You just didn't know what 22.2 was.
No, I just didn't know Bill's over here buying hard drives. I just didn't know that.
Isn't that his default position? Buying stuff.
Well,
Hard drives, servers. I got 3 big servers running now. And
How much electricity?
I don't
people
wanna
talk
know.
about- No, people talk about like servers and you need to get
he
something
just
which has
pays the
got
bill,
low.
man.
No, but I mean, the question I was asking was, you hear about people talking about, this would be a good device for a server because it's got this power consumption. This will be this, that. How does anybody know how much does it actually cost? Because I don't know how to figure it out.
So like
You
Joe
know,
Rez.
so many separate things
I got this.
that are running on electricity in this house. How do I know that? Okay, this is due to the server. This
I
is due
think
to
people
the-
are plugging in a little device to the
Kilowatt.
yeah, and they're measuring like idle speed, like when it's just sitting idle, they'll kind of mark down what it's using, and
But not only that. So there are sensors that are on the PC itself that you can kind of check and see what each individual component is doing. So you can break it down that far. But I think most people are just using, like, if they want real numbers, they're using a kilowatt, which is like so you plug it into the kilowatt and then you plug the kilowatt into the wall, and the moment you plug it into the wall, you can see like maybe 0.1 watts an hour or whatever it is.
yeah.
And then when you fire it up, you'll see in real time what the power consumption is of that one device. Does it suck that you have to do that for every device? Yeah, but I'm sure there are kilowatts that'll do multiple devices and stuff. You could even plug, not recommended, but you could plug like a power strip
Power
into it.
strip. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
But it's not.
see.
I mean, if you figure if you're like, let's say sum total, you've got maybe 8 devices, 5 devices, whatever, and you just do that once because it's not going to appreciably differ. Those measurements maybe very slightly, but then you sort of have a net average of like what you're using depending on what's on and when, and yeah, I mean, some people. Given the cost of electricity, I mean, some people do sort of obsess about TDPs and like,
Yeah.
it's using that's like a whole light bulb's worth of energy. It's like, come on, man.
I can tell you that
Yeah.
according to my APC, right now at the moment I'm at 361 watts.
total.
I assume that's.
Yeah.
That's 2.5
what?
light bulbs, Bill.
I don't think that's counting this machine though, because I don't have this machine plugged into that UPS, but that's all of the servers put together. So
Yeah. So it's really not as much as you might think it is, honestly.
no.
Now, if you're a
That's-
data center, yeah, that's different.
That's
Which is actually kinda
60
wild,
watt
right?
light bulbs, Bill. You're harming the planet.
Oh,
honestly,
God.
it's a
You
shame.
guys, I
Yeah, I
assume
mean,
you guys
and the other thing is that sometimes I think to myself, am I just pissing in the wind trying to save electricity when I have these guys who are going around with lights on in the middle of the day and
No.
TVs
No.
left on and
Okay,
things to put on
first of
charges.
all-
And you think to yourself, what difference is my server making to the catastrophe of
and-
electricity
and
management?
Two
that
of
they
these
do?
servers I've saved from going into the landfill. So I mean, it just depends on how you look at it. What?
He's carbon neutral.
Hey, yeah, it's subtractive.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Yeah,
it's-
just ask Microsoft.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
But yeah, I
speaking
think
of
like a lot of that stuff, right? So leaving the light bulbs on is now such a non-issue. I mean, what do the light bulbs take? Like 3 watts now?
oh,
I
they
mean, do the
sip
math on that.
They're
Yeah.
less than
Yeah.
light
So-
night lights used to be.
Most
Yeah.
TVs, as long as they don't suck, are under 10 watts when they're idle. And so yeah, I mean, a lot of that stuff has become a lot more efficient. So it's much more of a non-issue. I think the big things are like your fridge, your air conditioner, the big appliances that suck down.
I just got a
energy
new
all the
fridge
time.
and I got an app for it. It's glorious. I get
And you have ads
Really?
now.
Oh, I got an app,
Congratulations.
and I'll get notifications when I'm in Texas saying that the refrigerator door is left open. And so I text the wife, close the refrigerator door. That's great. Or
She's
the
like, "Are you
stove.
watching me?"
I got a stove
you're
too.
like-
Both of these things are on LG ThinQ. And,
Oh, LG appliances. I'm so sorry.
well,
they make good TVs.
I won't go
Well,
with
they-
Samsung
they-
anymore.
That is true. I have an LG TV. They make good OLEDs. But
Yeah.
fridges.
About
We
two
went
of
with
them, I think.
we went with Samsung for the last fridge, and it was just
Oh, I'm also sorry. Good.
that
God.
was terrible.
Yeah. I could.
I could not.
So I wanted to buy a Samsung.
Yeah,
And
don't do it.
and then in the end, I ended up getting a Beko. I don't know if you guys have got Beko over there. It's a Turkish one. And everybody was like, oh, don't get a Beko because it's just Turkish and it'll be crappy, right? And, it's only got a 7-year warranty. Okay.
Yeah, that
anyway,
English manufacturing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna
Well,
last
anyway,
7 years.
I've had it for 13.
Well,
There you
hey,
go.
Yeah.
Do you know what
that's
I'm saying?
fantastic actually for nowadays.
Yeah,
Because
my
I go in and
Maytag
out of
everything.
I go in and out of the scrap yards all the time, and they all deal heavily in old refrigerators. And you don't see old 70s style refrigerators lined up in these places. They're all the brand new model ones. They last maybe 5 years most of the time, and people are having to scrap them out for something else.
Well,
Have
that's
I ever
because
told you have I ever told you the fridge delivery story?
No, let's have it.
Okay, so the fridge delivery. So when I was ordering this fridge, we initially ordered a Samsung one, right? And we thought about what color to get, and I wanted to get a black one because it was the American. It's your American style, open cupboard style ones, right? So I was like, oh, I'm gonna get that one. So anyway, ordered it, and then waited around all day. On the day that it was supposed to be delivered, and it didn't turn up. And then I contacted, and they said, "Oh, sorry, it's been delayed. It'll come tomorrow." Okay, fine. So sitting in there, and then the next day, looking outside, and I see this truck come in, and a guy gets and I'm like, this is my fridge is turned up, right? And he opens his truck, and then he starts wheeling out this white fridge. It's exactly the same model, but it's the white one, right? So anyway, I open the door and I come out and I said, and he's like, "Yeah, I come to deliver a fridge." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, fine." And then I said, "But are you sure it's the right one? Because we ordered a black one." "No, this is the one for you, mate." "No, I'm
He
pretty
didn't
sure
load it
I
on the
ordered-
truck, man. Poor guy.
But, no, I'm pretty sure it's no. I ordered a black one. No, look, it says here. It was from Yorkshire, so he had a really distinctive accent. So it says here, look, yeah, I've got to deliver this white Samsung fridge to a John Smith. And I went to him, "Mate, do I look like a John Smith to you?"
Yes, sir.
And he kind of went, that's a good point, Matt. And then he went off, I had a phone, and he goes, "Yeah, sorry, mate, yours has gone to Harrogate. Yeah, you'll come tomorrow." And then he goes off. it was just hilarious.
You're not allowed to make fun of my accents anymore.
Oh, do you even know what a Yorkshire accent is?
I sure do. I watched
Okay.
John
That
Abbey.
was
It's Jon Snow.
the
Jon
way he
Snow's
said that.
accent.
It was "I sure do." I love it. I love it. I can make fun of your accent, Bill. I live around it.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
you were
so
down yonder.
that's my most entertaining fridge story. You know.
I like the TikTok video of the two little girls in Yorkshire that were talking shit about the guy that was selling ice cream out of his truck, and he was charging
Oh yeah,
Five
quid.
£5.
Yeah.
£5? They're not going to get anywhere with that. Nowhere. Yeah.
Okay.
That was funny.
Yes, this is why we take the piss out of your accent. Because that
Well,
was Cockney.
okay, but I was trying to do Yorkshire and a 12-year-old girl at the same time.
I'll tell you what the funniest one was. Do you remember there used to be this carpool karaoke? And they had the two girls from Game of Thrones on there and made them, and they did like, let's do everything in a Yorkshire accent. "Becky, look at her butt. Becky. That was funny.
And then, of course,
Anywho.
you got the Downton Abbey Yorkshire accent.
You know what? I have never watched an episode of Downton Abbey.
Well,
I'm
the
very
whole
happy
shtick
about that.
behind the show is that it takes place in Yorkshire, except Highclere Castle is actually in Wessex, which is like the existential opposite of Yorkshire.
Yes.
And
It's about as opposite of Yorkshire as you're going to get.
yeah, and you couldn't find a real house up in Yorkshire that needed a little bit of money from Hollywood.
And there's quite a few actually. I remember there used to be quite a few up there. Harrogate had one. Richmond was a lovely town actually. Lovely market town. Used to get great afternoon tea there.
But you can you can tell when an English person is forcing an English accent that is like, when you grow up like in the country in America, you just kind of think that there's a British accent and a Southern accent, and it turns out that there are
That's correct.
so
That is correct.
many Southern
yeah.
accents. There are so many English accents, and it's really interesting how just on an island you could have that many different ways of talking.
Yeah, I mean you can drive 10 miles and have a completely different accent in different places.
But that's all because of the legacy of travel before cars, before trains, before that 10 miles was
A bit
far
more
enough.
isolation.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So it's really based on hate, I think, and that's really what brings us together. But the coolest thing about that is the internet is gonna erase all accents. We're all gonna end up speaking one accent in the country.
Yeah, we're all going to be
country.
like a weird shade of gray too, because there won't be any
No.
races left.
I don't know. I still think we that would have happened with globalization and media by now. I think there's this
No.
deep-rooted. Now, what is absolutely true is I grew up in an area where there was the potential for a pretty strong accent, and a lot of my family actually has that Pittsburgh, yins and like very, very strong.
Let's hear it though. How's it go?
Well, it's downtown, and you draw out that there's these like strange
It's hard to
sounds
do.
that
Let's do the rest of the show. in the
Yins.
most
Is it like
Pittsburgh aspect you
is
can.
it like the Boston
Accent.
one?
No,
No, I have
it's called the lower
No.
region accent, what we would call
Yeah.
it in Pennsylvania. My mom spoke it, and it was this.
All right, Bill.
weird-
Now you do it.
it's hard to just turn on.
You're coming
I have
over
to- I
today,
have to,
Bob.
like,
It had like an upward
Are you
inflection, and it came right straight back down.
Maybe I'm just the weird one, man. Like I can swap into the southern if I need to.
Well, my
It's all
point
about
being-
getting the discount.
Well, I'm
You
sure
gotta be
you
able to
hear
do
it every day. But what's weird
Yeah.
in today, though, you'll go places that have thick accents, like Georgia down now, Georgia way. You know, you go out in the country and they all have
Okay,
kind
that's
of a
pretty good.
dragged out, and there's a name for it, and I can't remember what it is.
Yeah.
But and then you go into the city, you go into Atlanta, and it's gone. The accent is flushed completely.
I mean, again, I think that's what Eric's getting to, that
Yeah.
places where people don't move in and out that
Yeah.
much of, they
Or-
will have a strong regional identity and accent, because that's all the people they speak to. Now, if you've got big multicultural cities with people from different places coming, it all moderates it down a little bit. I always find accents really interesting, partly because me and my sister have very interesting reactions when it comes to different speech. What I mean by that, not reaction, sorry. So we're both born in this, basically, both grew up in the same place. I'm the type of person that whichever place I go to, I start picking up the accent of that place. So I used to work in the Northeast, so I started picking up Yorkshire. Then I moved down to this area which is called the Black Country. So I picked up a bit of the Black Country. And people often say, can't tell where you're from, because it's got mixes of this and the other. My sister, on the other hand, she just sounds exactly the same as she did. Whichever place I go 20 years ago, I start, wherever she goes, wherever she lives or whatever, it's exactly the same. And it's interesting how that happens. I remember there was a guy that used to, when I was up in Yorkshire, who he used to be in the army. Now he was a army medical officer, and he was from Brixton, which is South London. And he'd left Brixton when he was 16. He was now in his late 50s, and he still sounded like he'd just walked out of South London, even though he'd lived up in Yorkshire for 40 years and obviously been around the world. It's like there's something, I don't know, it must be something to do with the plasticity of neurons, how everybody's speech centers are slightly different. So I always find that fascinating. Because people say to me, for example, if the minute I meet somebody from another part of the country, my accent starts lilting. I'm not doing it on purpose. Do you know what I mean? It just happens.
I think it's more psychological than it is anything
I think some
else.
people
I think
are
it's-
paying
I think
better
it's-
attention to how they sound to
Yeah.
other people.
It's-
There's
in
a sympathetic component to
There it is.
language.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Where you want to feel like you're on the same level with someone, and so in order to not feel different or make them feel uncomfortable, like my grandfather was the pro at that. Like he would take on a Hispanic accent out of nowhere. It's like, what? Where are you from? Like, what is this?
No mames way.
Well,
All right, cool.
it wasn't like blatant, but you could hear like he would soften certain vowels, and like he would just take on an affectation.
Yeah.
And I think it was
And
all just like sympathetic. Yeah.
Did he
It's
call everybody
subconscious, isn't it?
Watto?
It's subconscious.
It is.
Oh, very much It's subconscious, because if we would call him out on it, he'd be like, "What are you talking about?" And it'd be like, "I wish I could just record you so you could hear it the way we hear it."
Yeah, it's,
but-
So
It
he-
sounds like me then.
He wouldn't
Yeah,
go
in all
into
of my
Taco Bell
conversations-
wanting a quesadilla then, or something like that.
Yeah, no, he was actually pretty good at it, and I don't know. So I mean, he had been in the military and had traveled some, so
Yeah.
maybe that was just came out of that. But yeah, for him in particular, it was very noticeable. I do it too, to a point where my wife and daughter will notice, but I don't think other people would. But where my grandfather was like blatant. So anyway, but yeah, I definitely think it's just one of those like meshing with other people and how do you sort of fit in, and yeah.
It's a very disarming thing, I think, for people that know that you're not, or people that don't know that you're doing it. It's a very disarming thing because they feel much closer to you much quicker. It's
Yeah.
something that they can relate to you on. And
Well,
that is-
ironically, don't you feel like it could be seen as, and this is what we always told him, was like, you're going to piss someone off doing that, because they're going to think you're like,
I know a
making
little
fun of
something
them or
about that.
something.
When,
Yeah, I mean, I suppose
I've
it
never
depends
run
how
into
much. I suppose it depends how much and in what context, and where you are, who you're speaking to. All of those things come into it, don't they?
The
Yeah.
reason that I have maybe a different view on it or whatever is because down here, it's very much a requirement to be able to code switch. So what we're talking about code switching, which is basically the different dialects around you or whatever, and whether or not you can fit in. So it's very much a fit in type of thing, and it's very much why I talk like I talk. Most of my family doesn't talk like this, and this because I've ended up in the different jobs and the different situations that I've been in throughout my life or whatever. It's just been better for me to talk like this, and so this just
Yeah.
eventually became my default. But when I go home, it kind of
mean-
fades away a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I know that I
Yes.
definitely code switch a lot. And I think probably another thing about it is the fact that I know another language as well. You know, my
It's-
mother tongue is Urdu. You know, and so I speak to my mother in Urdu. I speak to my wife in Urdu, but mixed. Do you know what I mean?
Ooh,
English,
that's
this,
interesting.
that,
Do
and
you
the other.
think in Urdu then?
No, I don't. And this is the interesting thing. Okay, so generally I think in English, right? Because I've thought about this. But if I pray, like if the shit's hitting the fan and I'm oh God save me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I go into Urdu. Yeah. I dream in English. Yeah. But if I want to if I want to speak to little kids, I'll go into Urdu. I don't. It's very interesting. About the whole kind of code switching is what they call it, and they always what's the other thing they call it? Diglossia as well. And people just switch from. So at the moment, my son has started university in Wales, and he was telling me about how you see people code switch between English and Welsh. And they'll be talking something, then they'll go into something else, then they'll come back, and it's just about how you can express yourself best. It's the same thing when I'm speaking to my mom. If I'm talking about what did I did to work today, I did pediatrics. This I'm in English, but the minute I'm starting talking about something a bit more emotional, like I did this and it really annoyed me, I switch into Urdu. It's
is
fascinating.
interesting,
I
yeah.
always find phonetics and linguistics fascinating. I mean, I'm trying to learn another language at the minute while I was off, because I thought, if I'm off and I'm sat at home, I might as well make something. I mean, I'm back to work now. Well, back to work, he says. I've done 3 days.
Oh, you're learning Russian. Wow. In preparation for the future. Nice.
No. I'm learning Arabic because Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I've been doing. I've got an Arabic teacher, and
That's a very straight shooter type book. That's a professional language learning book right there, buddy.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's interesting
That's not learn Arabic in 30 days right there.
Yeah, no. That is it's interesting because that's the best Arab English dictionary, and it's written by a German, Hans Wehr.
It would be, wouldn't it?
That sounds about
Meticulous
right.
they are.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Do you know what I mean? So So I mean, all I really want to be able to do is read. If I can read and do gentle conversation, I'm fine. I don't have to be a master linguist. Do you know what I mean? But sometimes I think about other languages to try. I know a friend of mine who's a real language nerd. He was trying to learn Mandarin. I mean, that's just you have to reorder the way your brain works.
Well, it's
Do you know
like
what I mean?
anybody that doesn't speak like a Romance language in the first place, learning, especially English. So learning English from those types of languages, you have to do the same thing.
True, but I mean, yes, Romance languages and the Germanic languages for which English belongs to are different, but they still come under Indo-European, so there are still some similarities in some way. It's when you go to one which is completely structured completely differently. So yeah, like Mandarin, Vietnamese is another one where it's all about tones. It's not about the actual syllables. Yeah, it's about the whether it's going up, whether it's going down, and it can have completely different meanings. It's not even like the related meanings. It's completely different. 1 minute you're saying dog, the next minute you're saying door or something. Do you know what I mean? I mean, in one sense, apparently it's very good for keeping your cognitive function. So they talk about how learning another language in some way will protect you from developing dementia, apparently, which again is interesting to me because I'm thinking, wow, because the speech center is something specific. It's something that is in your brain. People have defined where it is, the bit where that speaks it and the bit which understands it. Because when you have people who have strokes and then they have deficits, you can figure. Some people have what they call expressive dysphasia. They know what to say, but they can't say it. And then there's others that have receptive aphasia, which is they think they're saying the right things, but they're saying gobbledygook. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
it's all very interesting and nothing to do with Linux, but hey ho,
And
that's
it's
what
not
this
just
whole
speech
podcast is
too, because
about.
I had a friend that had a stroke, and I texted him right after the incident, and the message I got back was just completely unintelligible. And when I asked him later,
I've seen that too.
and it's the exact. I never even thought of it until then that it's the exact same filters that we have in place that take what it is we want to say and then turn that into actual speech. All of that stuff that's going on
Yep.
in the brain. Well, that's the same thing that's going on. And in fact, you might have one or two more filters to take what you want to say, turn it into speech, and then turn that speech into something that you're going to type on a screen.
Yeah.
And what he ended up typing, and he remembers in his brain having something completely coherent to say,
Yeah.
and hearing him say it in his own head sounded completely normal. And he remembers this. He remembered because he slowly started to get better, and he remembered sending that message. And he was like, "Yeah, when I was sending the message, I knew in my head what I wanted to say, but this is how it came out." And
Yeah. I mean, there's even a thing called foreign accent syndrome, where people with a specific type of stroke that
Madonna.
happen, yeah, they will wait. They'll afterwards they'll have like a completely
Yep.
like they'll have a Scottish accent straight afterwards, and they're like they've never been to Scotland. There's no idea,
I
but
just
that's
watched
what
a
happens.
documentary on that. Yep, and it's
Yeah.
unbelievable where they're just like, I can't stop it. This isn't me
Yeah.
pretending. Like this is now me.
I mean,
Yeah, it's wild.
brain stuff gets really weird. Like, have you heard of foreign hand syndrome?
Yes,
So this is when like you have a stroke which disrupts the connection between the right and left parts of your brain, and basically they start functioning independently. And so what happens is, you might, for example, want to grab a drink, but then the other hand will be like, no, I don't want that drink. I'll have that drink instead. And so your hand goes, and it's like, I don't want it to go there, but it is. It's
yeah.
really strange. I mean, some of the stuff genuinely sounds like it's science fiction or something, but it's you see it in people, and you're like going, "What the hell, man? That's just
I
nuts."
wanna I wanna ask a question about the people that have a stroke and then wake up with a different accent. Couldn't they just pretend or try to have their original accent? Like,
I'm
you know
sure
how
they
we
probably do. I'm sure they
yeah
do, but
yeah
it's just the fact that that happens in
right.
itself is just weird enough. I'm sure a lot of them do. I don't know enough about the recovery of that afterwards, but it's just the fact that it occurs in the first place. I just
Yeah.
find amazing. There's so much about the human brain that we just do not understand. Do you
It's
know what I
just
mean?
because they were
Well, what
watching a bunch of Lemmy. What's his name? Lemmy, the Scottish guy. Hilarious dude talking about like the weight difference between a pound of feathers and a pound of steel. And
yeah,
obviously the steel is heavier. What
it's
do you mean?
unfortunate how many people get tripped up on those questions.
Yeah. And then but
Yeah.
then you have a stroke and then you took on his accent. You're Scottish now.
Yeah. So now, not only do you,
it calls into question this idea of artificial intelligence, right? The idea that
oh
we can even
Here's how we
presume
tie it to Linux,
to
right?
understand.
yeah,
Well, exactly, and that's. I mean, it did sort of naturally come around to that, but the idea that we look at something that is really not intelligence, but we see that in it because it can do certain tricks well enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's
You know
one of
what I
these
mean?
things, isn't it, that you project your understanding onto the world. So
Yeah.
like for example, if you ever have a debate with an atheist, for example, and they're like saying, well, there's no such one of the weaker arguments that say someone like me who does believe in God is to
Uh-oh.
say, oh, it's a design. It's like, no, you're just projecting because you design things. You're projecting a design onto other things. I mean, that's a very long conversation. I don't want to necessarily get into, but the point I'm just trying to say is that
Well, it's too late, Majid.
yeah, it's
no, it's not.
it is
No,
a
it's
ca-
not.
it is a case of you look at something and you project your ideas, your perceptions, and your almost your emotions on how you think it should be, and therefore that gets reflected back to you, rather than necessarily looking at the thing of itself and going from an empirical, first principles basis.
I
Yeah, I
think
think for AI, it's very specifically that we taught it to talk. Like we taught it to do a very, very human thing, and when it does that human thing kind of okay, we're like, oh, this it's talking to me. It's thinking about the words that it wants to say to me, and
But
then
it's
it
not.
actually says those things. Right. But because we've built them in that way, we give it that personification unknowingly. And then when we start to have that conversation with it, it slowly chips away at what we know is not true, and then you end up with this situation where you're like, ChatGPT is just glazing me a little bit. I really appreciate that.
I
Thanks. That really was the best line of code I've ever written.
Yeah. Well, I take what we have gotten comfortable calling AI as a bad example of any of this, because AI was really only ever just a marketing term for
Oh yeah, I mean
Yeah.
this
kind
is
of
this is
putting
machine
together.
learning. This is machine learning, isn't it?
And
If this and that,
as far as
it's just
like getting,
it's just supercharged bots. That's all it
I
is.
don't give it any more credit for being able to talk to me than I do a tape recorder for like recording somebody else's voice and then and then playing that back to me. It's just a clever bit of code putting together some voice recording or some other way of articulating these things together. You know, it's not the machine going through all of these filters like we were just talking about with speech. It's none of that. It's just going straight for the data, turning it into something that we can interpret with our auditory functions and then making sense of
Well,
it.
it shows you that intelligence isn't just data. It isn't just having all the world's written text or all the world's images or video or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't mean that you can then interpret it, understand it, make connections between it. You haven't lived a life where you had to experience interacting with things around you, using your intelligence to figure things out. Like there's so much that goes into building the human mind that, that's why it takes almost 2 decades for someone to, be able to live on their own. And even then, there's another 5 or 10 years where they're still not technically, fully mature. So, a quarter century to develop a mature mind, a day in, day out, constant,
Yeah,
interpretation and
and
experimentation, and like that.
and
You
this is
can't,
and this is
you
what
can't
this
just
is what
make that.
yeah, and this is what frustrates me about the discourse around AI, because what happens is that people then start throwing the baby out with the bathwater. There are things in which machine learning, AI, are very useful. Automating
Oh, of course.
menial tasks, and if these companies or whatever focused on that and improved that, then we really could be getting somewhere. But it's all this crap about agentic and Skynet and all that sort of stuff. It's like, come
Oh,
on,
well,
man, it's
yeah.
not that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what happens is you then put people off, and then they don't use the tools in a way that could actually be useful. So I'll give the example that I was telling Bill just before we started, that I was at a health promotion event today. I was presenting, and some of the slides, when I was making them, I thought, well, everybody keeps talking about Chat GPT and Google Gemini, and they can do menial tasks for you. Let's see if it can, put the content that I have got and put it into sensible slides. And it did it brilliantly. Saved me about an hour's worth of work. Yeah, a specific task with parameters, right? And it made it easier. Do you know what I mean? For me to do, to deliver that. That's what the companies, that's the promise of machine learning, really. Not this, it's now going to, sort your life out, and it'll be alive, and, it'll be a voice in your ear. And that's just nerdgasms, man. People have,
Have you seen
thinking too
that?
much.
There's an MIT it's Project Nanda. There's a recent study they did, and this came out in about a week or two ago, where they interviewed 153 business leaders and analysis of 300 public AI deployments,
Oh no.
and considered 95% of it wasteful and
Oh, I did
with
see this
no
one.
measurable return. Yeah.
Yeah, yep.
So
Yep,
basically,
absolutely.
this just speaks to the spaghetti of like, let's just throw it at the wall, and like why every app has to have AI all of a sudden in every facet,
Well,
and
that's VC
basically,
money, man. Like that's
yeah.
exactly what they do, right? They're like, "Oh, I think I like that idea. That sounds cool. Here, have $6 billion and make it work, and then I
I
want a
mean,
$50 billion return."
I knew that the number was high. Like I was thinking probably 75 or 80, but to see 95. And I mean, it doesn't necessarily shock me, but at the same time, like it does show that people have no idea what to do with it. Right.
Well,
Like to your
I
point,
thought that a
Majid,
lot.
yes, there are things that we know do work and are helpful, but that hasn't stopped the tech realm at large to just throw it out there and hope for the best. It just again shows me how little, independent thinking, how little creativity exists in the tech sphere where, one trend comes up and it's like we have to just latch onto it and,
Well, is there a little
hope
bit of
that it
desperation involved too? Because have we
yeah,
gotten
it's
to a point
silly.
where, it's just not a lot of interesting stuff going on because we've gotten to this sort of plateau with, like, the phones, for example. They've been properly powerful for
Yeah.
quite
And
some
now
time
apparently
now.
we want now what we really needed after all of this was a really
Glass.
thin phone.
Yeah.
That's what we wanted. After all, with an extra battery pack that you can put on the end because it's gonna have a crap battery. And it's like this is what culture has descended to. Ooh, look, thin,
They think
nice.
they can tell us what we want with these things. And
Well,
what
that speaks to the desperation you were talking about, right? Like I've never seen companies go out so hard and say, "This is a new tool. You have to use it
Yeah.
or you are fired." Like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
not what any business leader would do for good tools. They would just give you good tools and you would use them because they make life easier. But
It's almost
this is
cultish, you know?
we've spent so much money on these tools. If you don't use them, you're gone. Like it reeks
Right. You
of
have to give us a
desperation.
justification. Yeah, exactly. You have to now justify our expenditure
Yeah,
in
it's
this
it's
area.
backwards. We're not
Yeah.
justifying to you why
Right.
you want to use it. You need to justify to us why we spent all this money on it, and it better be a good reason because I don't have one.
Right. And the study finds that it just so happens in 5% of cases that it is actually useful. And I think we, because we're tech people, understand what those things are, right? Summarizing large articles or bodies of text, that it's very good at that sort of thing. So that's why you're starting to see it more and more in those areas. Like it's gaining traction there.
That's
Coding,
another one of those things that I think is like 85% good at. Like
yeah,
because it's very good at also missing context, right? Because it
Oh
doesn't
yeah, yeah.
have the
yes.
language stuff that we were talking about before. It doesn't have
Well,
the pure understanding of stuff. And it will pick out what
exactly.
it thinks is the main idea to use that to then summarize around. But what if it picks out the wrong main idea and you end up with, you miss the point of the article by summarizing it in that way.
Well,
So, I mean,
the the dumb and dangerous thing that I think is happening is that people are using it as a knowledge base,
Yeah,
as a
people are trusting it. People are trusting. I see my
exactly.
kids. I see my kids do this actually.
Yeah. Oh,
oh no, I'm
it's
planting that seed. I'm planting that seed
oh yeah.
early, baby. Don't trust it.
Yeah, a lot of kids are doing that now where they're, and of course Google's leading the way because Google search, instead of being the succinct list of, credible sources, is now just an amorphous blob of text that you have to sort
Yeah,
of hope
and the
is
search,
accurate.
yeah, and the search results are just rubbish because you search for something, half the screen is
Not
the
always. And
AI,
see, that's the problem.
and then you get the sponsored ones. Then you might add the bottom. No, the reason I say this is because I've actually found that some of the other search engines like Brave Search or DuckDuckGo now seem to be refreshingly good. Because you put something into Google search. I said half the page is AI slop, which you have no idea how true that is or not. Then you've got the sponsored bits, then you got the ads, and then right at the bottom of the page you might have one result that was actually search. And if you persist with all of that, yeah, maybe you'll get something good. Or you
Except
just
that
go, forget this.
even those results now are a result of AI slop that is being generated for SEO purposes.
Yeah.
So you can't even trust that the links that you will get are even relevant anymore, because AI is just shoving just mountains of garbage onto the internet, at large, just like blogs and AI generated video content, text content, images. Like, it's all just nothing. It's just vomit.
It was the natural progression of things, right? Like, I mean, we saw everybody makes fun of the whole recipe, that you don't see the recipe until like 800 lines down, and that's because it's the SEO thing. This is well before AI, so people were writing all of this story to make sure that they got in the correct SEO words, to make sure that it came up with all of these different types of searches or whatever, and then the thing
it's
that you
so
actually came
annoying.
for. But you had to scroll all the way down. You had to see 8 different ads before you got there. I mean, it was a problem well before AI.
No,
But
absolutely. I'm
AI,
not saying.
one of the things that AI is really good at is creating SEO type
Yep.
pages to hit
Yep.
every one of those checkboxes, to give you the trash recipe at the bottom that forgets that there's oil that
Well,
you
and then
need in
on
the
the other
recipe.
side of it, you have AI bots continuously hitting
Yeah.
any source of data it can suck up, because open web content is technically just free for the taking. And so, you have these bot crawlers that are just every 2 minutes hitting. I don't know what they think they're going to find. Whoever's programmed these things to be so aggressive, it doesn't make any sense, because there's
They've
not
got
going to be
CPU cycles to burn. They don't care how
Yeah.
aggressive they need to make
Yeah.
it. They don't care how many people have their robots.txt set to don't look at me. They don't care how much it's going to crash your server because it's asking too many times and your server is dynamic and it just
It's
can't
like
handle
it's
that
like a
type of load. They
DDoS.
don't
Yeah.
care.
Yeah.
It's money to them. So if it
Yeah.
costs them an extra 600 CPU cycles, they don't care. They're going to keep knocking over your website until they find something that they can shove into their knowledge bases, so that they can then use to train their AI models on, so that they can then be wrong about in a
I
couple of
mean,
weeks.
it's become almost impossible to find anything about anything that isn't SEO content now. Really, it's frustrating now. If you actually have something that you want to search for, I don't know how you can do that. I
I know
mean,
this
Yeah.
is.
On
I know
on the other
it's.
end of that, there's an AI agent that you can add to your WordPress to help you flesh out all of that SEO trash, so that you can add it to your blog and everybody can have it. And then make sure that you put in 4 different ads on the way down to make sure that you get your nickel per person.
Yep. Yep. It's very dystopian. I'll tell you, it's definitely not the web that we thought we were going to end up with. I mean, but it hasn't been for a long time. Because the web grew organically, and mostly without the intervention of corporations and moneyed interests necessarily. Like, it was hobbyists, it was people who were sharing information freely, it was
I mean,
interactivity, right?
yeah. I mean, at some point, all of these big tech companies that we talk about were, snotty startups, weren't they? Google, Amazon, even Microsoft, at some point, was a startup which had, was trying to push things in a particular way, was into, trying new things, doing this, that, and the other. And then when they all became corporate and corporatization, and now we've got decades of it. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
been decades since I doubt any of these companies even remember what it was like when they were right at the beginning, or anybody's even in
Those
there
guys
that
are
was
all
like
gone. They're all
exactly,
gone.
Yeah, exactly.
exactly. And so now you just have this big business corporate machine run by people who are just businessmen. And so yeah, that's
Line
suppose
go up. Line go
yeah.
up.
Well, you've got enshittification, which is absolutely real. You've got the I forget what's the term that they're using for the AI slop internet.
The dead internet theory?
Internet theory. Thank you. Yes, so you've got that in tandem with enshittification, and then the web itself now is essentially just the big players, because people don't even go to like random websites for things, not for recipes. They're very specific things that they do search, for. And if the AI, and I'm just as guilty, because I use, like, I wanted to cook
Traitor.
chicken. Well, I wanted to cook chicken the other night, and I really like what DuckDuckGo has done with their AI implementation.
Yes.
And so I said, baked chicken recipe. without going to any website or anything, it just spit out a perfect little recipe for me that was 100% correct.
You
I
need to
made the
go
chicken.
to a brick and mortar bookstore and pick up The Art of French Cooking by Julia
Well,
Child,
I mean,
and then just
listen.
be content with your life, and then you won't have to have any
I mean,
AI.
AI is the ultimate socialism, and here's why: because it's basically stolen all knowledge from everywhere, and whenever you ask it for something, all it's doing is regurgitating stolen stuff. Like it has no original thought. There is no
See,
like
we got into religion, and
creativity.
now we're trending the other direction
Well,
with it.
I mean, there is honestly. Think about it. The image that it creates whenever you ask for it to make a stupid clown or whatever it is, like that isn't an original thought. It is derived from something that it ingested somewhere at some point, and then
Oh,
if
so
it.
socialism is not original then?
Well, no, what I'm saying is there is no. If all property is theft, then there is no property anymore because basically everything that is open and available in terms of human knowledge has been vacuumed into the box. And now whenever we ask the great box for an answer, it just spits something back at us, but it's
So what
nothing
we
that it
needed-
created.
What we needed was capitalists to show us the socialist light. Beautiful. Now, there's one thing that I wanted to talk about though, because I make this joke all the time about the emails, right? You're gonna have like AI email summary bots or whatever that write an email for you, so that you send that to the other person, and then the other person ingests it with a summary of AI, and then writes another email with AI, and then sends it back or whatever.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be much more of a thing before we ended up with AI is writing all of the web pages, so that Google's AI can ingest all the web pages and summarize the web pages, so then that you can use your agentic AI to go and search the web and then read the AI web page to then summarize that AI and then give you the output, and then you have this weird ball of shit.
You see how
Leo,
expensive
you're
also these
researching.
AI. So do you
You're
see
doing
also,
research.
Oh
Right.
yeah. Research is you steal it off one person, it's it's stealing. Steal it
Yeah.
off two
We
people,
need-
it's plagiarism. Steal it off 10 people, it's research.
Yeah, we need HTML, we need CSS, get rid of all the JavaScript. Let's go back to 1991. Come on.
So I mean, one of the things that shocked me is how expensive these AI plans are. If somebody does go, you know what, actually. So like I was chatting to Popey about this because when Popey was on my podcast, he was extolling the virtues of AI. So I kind of like texting him and I was saying,
As you remind us.
yes, as I do. Yes, it's shameless self-promotion. Yeah, I like to see. See, that's what you call
do you have a
SEO
podcast?
content.
I didn't know you had a podcast.
I know.
Yeah,
it's
it's got a
amazing.
website and
It's almost
everything.
like I didn't know that Bill ran Arch. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, drag
Yeah.
me into this.
Yeah, he's so much an Arch guy. He even had Arch next to his name.
Yeah,
on
I had to get rid of that.
Discord.
Because I knew
Anyway,
somebody was going to take the piss.
Yeah, and it was me. Anyway, I can't even remember what I was joking. Yeah, anyway, I asked him whether he was actually paying for any of these. And I thought it was very telling that even though he talks about how good they are in the certain situations where he uses them, he's like, yeah, I'm not paying for it though. Because it's just ridiculous, the amount of money they're asking for it.
I mean, billions and billions of dollars for these data centers or whatever. There's one going up in my backyard. So, not literally my backyard, but within a few miles of me. And they're going to have an oil burning plant to supply all the energy that it needs or whatever. And I'm
God.
sure,
Lovely.
that in
That's
the
lovely.
the next Texas snowpocalypse that we have, because it's
You're going to
coming.
have children in a mine.
Yeah,
picking-
yeah, that kind of deal, right? Like, but the next
Yeah.
snowpocalypse, they're gonna be like, well, I'm sorry, this part of the town can't have energy. We got to keep the AI stuff going, so we gotta divert a little bit of energy. I'm sorry. Make
It's all
sure you hit up-
it's all a big, massive grift, isn't it?
What?
They're doing that
I think it
in
is. Yeah.
North Central PA, where there was an old power plant that was coal-fired that shut down. Excuse me, and Microsoft just bought it, and they are revitalizing it or reopening it with natural gas power, but it is specifically for an
Yeah, for
AI
the data center. Yeah.
Think
I-
of all
yeah,
those
I've heard
coal
about
mining
this.
jobs they're going to bring back to Pennsylvania after all
yeah,
this.
right.
Maybe this is what the MAGA
you know what the best part
plan
is?
was from the beginning.
Yeah.
You know
We
where that-
will
where that-
reindustrialize by sending the serfs down the mines again.
That's
Well,
right.
but you know where that natural gas came from? Fracking.
Hey.
That's
of course. So we're
Frack,
gonna
baby,
poison our
frack.
water.
Drill,
Yeah.
baby, drill.
We're
Yep,
gonna
and it
poison our
is.
water. We're gonna
Yep,
poison
and it
our
has.
air. But damn it, we're gonna be able to ask AI anything.
There are so
Yeah.
many places up there. When
The
I
chatty
went back,
jeeps.
I went back last year, and you see the like brand new house or the brand new barn with the the natural gas well up on the hill, and they got their money out of it. But also, I hear a lot of people complaining about can't drink the water anymore because it's poison. And was it worth it? I don't know. Did you want
Isn't
your
there
kids to be able to live there? I don't know.
isn't there like a Native American saying which I saw once on something saying,
We threw
one
those in the
day,
trash.
but yeah, one day human beings will look up from the floor and realize that you can't eat money. Do you know what I mean? If you're just going to completely and utterly destroy everything around you, at a certain point, yeah, you can't have those, megabits or whatever that's on your
Well,
bank
no.
balance. It's not even notes anymore or the coins. It's just some random text on a thing.
You're misrepresenting that. The rest of humanity can't eat that. The 1% doesn't give a shit, right?
Good point. Yeah.
The people who have the money don't care. It's the people
Yeah.
who have to live with the effects of it.
Well, yeah, I
you
think
do.
this is.
Now you're sounding like a socialist.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, because I think what's the ultimate thing, right? Is to get rid of all the menial jobs, right? Well, who holds the menial jobs?
Well,
We
okay,
just don't
of
need
the
them
four of us
anymore.
here, does any of us have a bunker in New Zealand?
I don't think
Do you have a
so.
bunker in New Zealand?
Yes.
You? Oh,
Uh-huh.
okay.
Yeah, I live in the Lord of the Rings castle, man.
Well, you know that what I'm referencing, right? I mean, that's where all the multi-billionaires have their, hideaways built in the hills of New Zealand.
No, Zuckerberg has one in Hawaii. Didn't he buy the whole entire island or something?
Oh well, he is Zuck though, but
Him and
he's
Oprah.
yeah. Oh, he's sharing it with the. Well, that's very nice of them.
Well, he's sharing the island, I think. I think there's
Yeah,
maybe like two
yeah,
or
I
three
gotcha.
billionaires out there, but yeah, he's definitely one. And he keeps stealing more land legally, though. Legally.
Right.
Legally steal.
Bill, if you get an email, or just note that I said legally,
Yeah, I'm
he
with
owns
you.
all of that land. Yes, sir.
No,
Need to quit
nobody's
picking on
listening to
those-
this. There's only an AI bot probably scraping.
Well,
this.
exactly.
right.
And then the AI
Great point.
bot sends that information
Well, no.
to lawyers who can then use an AI bot to generate us getting sued. So, don't worry. It's happening, man. They're going to make their money.
We'll get our AI lawyer to respond, and
Yeah.
all work-
Bill,
Well,
you got an AI lawyer?
I'll write one up right quick. I'll have Duck
Thank
AI
God.
make me one.
get a
Thank
Gemini
God.
gem working on that right away. if you
Yeah,
want.
yeah,
There
yeah.
you go.
Better cool
85% of the-
Gemini.
Yep. 85% of the time, it's right every time.
Hey, Bill, what the hell is IMCH?
I'm glad you asked. That is image, and that is
Image, I say.
Yeah.
Image.
it's a self-hosted alternative. For me, it's a drop-in replacement, but I won't go that far. It's a replacement for Google Photos.
I'm sure it was easy to just drop it in and
Well,
replace it. You had no problems.
Surprisingly, it was probably the easiest Docker-based project I ever got up and running because it's clear that
The normal folks have already tuned out. All right.
the documentation was written in English, and easily understood. It wasn't.
Well, you could just get a chat AI to translate it from English to
One of these
whatever
days, I'm going to
language
learn. AI is there to help. But no, this even looks like Google Photos when you get it up.
I mean, it does look good. I have seen this on, when people talk about services that you can self-host, instead of Plex, you get Jellyfin. Instead of this, you get that. And one of them is, instead of Google Photos, Image. Now, I was a little bit confused initially because it looked like it was a paid thing. And then I found out that the pay is if you want support. And if you don't want support and just want to do it yourself,
and I don't even think it's that.
Just do it yourself.
I think it's just voluntary, where they've put two pay tiers, one for the clients and one for the server, and then it's really kind of pay what you want, but they made it look kind of official.
Yeah. But you can just do it yourself, though, can't you?
Which I did.
Spending any money. Yeah.
The instructions are very straightforward. You don't even have to write up your own Docker Compose. You literally get the Docker Compose from it gets it from their GitHub, and also
Is it on Docker Hub as well? Do you know?
it'll get the image from Docker Hub, but then
Okay.
it gets its configs from. It'll have two configs. You've got a Docker Compose, and then there's a .env file that it sources for, like, that's where you would go in and change the exact path to where you want it to store all your photos. So that's where you would, and that's literally the only thing you change. And then if you just want it running on your home LAN and not accessible outside of that, then fine, leave it like that and just set your clients up to connect to the internal IP address and the port number, and it works just fine. Or do like I did and put an A record on one of your host names and run your reverse proxy to it, and you've got access to it from anywhere. And it's the only thing you don't have with this is some of the, I don't even know if you want to call them AI features. They feel like AI features on Google
It's like the
Photos.
search things where you can search for cars and stuff.
No, where you get
it
it
can
does
do
have
that.
that. It does have that.
Yeah.
It's got those AI features. What I don't think it has is, like, you know how you every now and then you'll get these memories.
Oh yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
from
but there's services that will do that. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, the best one was
For $9.99 a month.
Well, and-
Xperia highlights. I remember it used to be on Sony Xperia phones. I'm talking about a decade ago, and it would make those kinds of little videos around an event or something like that. It was very good for 2014, 2015. It was very good, and I was a bit annoyed that nobody else apart from Google's memories, photo memory things, does it really.
Well, Google wants all of your photos on there because it feeds their giant engine that, oh gosh, people's photos.
So here's my question about image, right?
Okay.
You're saying that you're using it as a replacement for Google Photos. Are
Yeah.
you happy to put all the photos that you already have onto the service? Or is this something that is just going to be, okay, this is day 0 now. From now on, every photo that I put, I'm putting it on.
I am
through that.
moving from Nextcloud to because I was using Nextcloud for the last
Okay.
few years, and that's fine. But Nextcloud is more of a complete cloud sort of
It's more of like a
solution.
drive.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
more
yeah.
of like a Google Drive
And
than a
yeah,
Google Photos. Yeah.
and it's not. I mean, you can put your photos on there, and you've got full access to them, but it's not made specifically for photos. This was
Right.
made clearly to get the wife approval factor, because when I showed this to the wife and put it, like, literally put image on my phone right next to Google Photos on hers, there was very little distinguishable difference between the
Yeah,
two.
there
So,
is.
so when you're doing backups, so say you've gone out, you've taken photos, say you haven't got it accessing the outside world, will they just back up when you've got back home and you're onto your LAN again?
Yeah, I mean, these are all in settings, but if you want it to back up automatically, yeah, it absolutely will, and it will also preserve, like, folder structures and things like that you've got. I mean,
Okay.
it is very, very configurable, but
Is it open? Is it completely open source, or is
It
there a
is.
little bit of it which isn't? Oh, okay.
it's open source. It's on GitHub, and it is violently worked on.
Violently worked. Okay. That's
Yeah,
an
because I
interesting,
mean,
adjective,
every
but-
day I've got Watchtower running on all these machines. Don't at me. And every day, every time I look at it, it says that container's only been up for like 2 hours or something like that. So it's
So that'll probably be the next thing I do, because now I have finally got some
Yeah.
use out of this bloody server. Oh my lord! Finally, I got
I was starting
Jellyfin
to
working.
feel
and
bad. I was
finally
starting to,
got Jellyfin. Yeah, because you're the one who told me. No, it's alright.
yeah, talked you into
no.
getting rid of that Synology, talked you into doing it well, I tried to talk you into doing it the real hard way, but you went with Open
Yeah.
Media Vault.
Yeah, I think it's.
Oh, the good NAS. Good.
Well, the thing about Open Media Vault is that if you go that route, you've got to use their tooling. It seems.
I mean, you don't
I
have
don't
to.
think you have to, but there's things that happen when you use their tooling that
Yeah.
make things easier. So I figured out what the problem was when we did it, right? So basically, okay, so the backstory is bought this server, built my own NAS, right? Tried a Ubuntu server on it. I just couldn't get along without a GUI. Tried Cockpit. I probably should have persisted with that, but then got annoyed. In the end, ended up with Open Media Vault, which is basically just Debian but with a good web GUI and some extra tooling. Now, so the thing that I really wanted to do was get a Jellyfin server going on this, and then be able to share all the media within the house. I don't care about going outside, but just within the LAN. And the I just kept on making what seemed to be like rookie mistakes. But then, I told Bill, look, man, if you're free, should we actually just sit and just have a go, I'll share my screen and whatever. And so, we went through the standard CLI route, and we just couldn't get it to work. Jellyfin just could not see any of the files. And so in the end, I kind of uninstalled all of that, did a kernel update, which I thought had balked the system, but actually it was just a kernel panic, and then I was able to just roll back to a previous kernel and it was fine. And it turns out that if you're wanting to have Docker on Open Media Vault, you have to specify like where your compose stuff is going to be, where your data is going to be, and where your backups are going to be. And I hadn't done that in those settings. I hadn't done those settings on Open Media Vault already. So therefore, when I was making the Docker compose file, it wasn't being saved anywhere, and it didn't have the correct access to the different volumes. So basically what I did was I just completely uninstalled Docker from when we did it, and then I went completely just the open, get the Open Media Vault direct, documentation, and just do it their way. Specify where the compose files are going to live, where the data is going to be, where the backup stuff's going to be, and then use their. I think I used the image from it was from Docker Hub, the Linux server IO. But then I was also, it also gave me the true path name to the pools and stuff, and so I plugged all of that in, and then voila, it worked.
Yeah.
So
And
what
so
you're saying is
finally-
measure twice, cut once. TLDR, skill issue.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean it was definitely a picnic. Problem in chair, not in computer. But I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not
But
sure
hey,
if I
that's the-
can.
that-
I'm not sure if I'm wrapping my head around why it wasn't working. The only
You got to
thing,
tell OMV about everything, and
well,
then you
apparently,
can do the
but
thing right.
how is it accomplishing that? It must be some strange permission structure where.
Well, I'm sure if you would check in
Yeah.
the logs, OMV would tell you, I can't do that. I don't know where to do it.
No, but the funny thing was that when we did it, it was coming up as saying that it's running.
Yeah, it
didn't
absolutely was.
It was saying it was running, but it couldn't find anything.
Because
You
I was just like, okay, well, he's running Open Media Vault, I'll let him have that, but we'll go in and just do it this plain Debian way, just shell in and Docker PS and Docker
I mean, that would have
Compose.
worked, right?
No, it didn't.
It
That's
seemed
the
to
point.
work.
It didn't.
The only thing that wasn't working was it was not able to see the directory that we had declared in the Docker Compose.
How are you running Docker? As root?
No,
Oh,
but
that's why.
Well,
Okay.
the Docker Compose for Jellyfin adds the group 109.
Oh, not in the container.
Access.
I mean, like, how are you running Docker itself? The PID of Docker, was it running as root or was it running as a user?
Why? Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a service.
See,
Does that make
you
a
gotta
difference?
bring-
Does that
you
make a
gotta-
difference?
You gotta rope me into these conversations, guys, and maybe I'll be able to help you do the thing wrong better.
Because we.
What? Why would that make a difference, though? I don't understand. Why would putting it as root make a difference?
I know that you have to add your user to the Docker group in order to execute any commands in it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right,
But we
but
did
what I'm
execute it, didn't we? We did execute it. We did
what
deploy
I'm
it. Jellyfin would come on, wouldn't it? We'd use the web
Yeah,
interface.
we'd
It
get
would come on.
everywhere
Everything.
except
We
it
just
had
couldn't
no
find the files.
it had
what
no
was
access
likely
to the
happening.
directory that the files
What
were
was
in.
likely happening is that the OMV user that was able to do all the Docker things because you installed Docker and OMV or whatever was overwriting your changes after you did them. So it gave you the affirmative, yeah, it's running, and then OMV would immediately go in and be like, no, it's not because you didn't do it through me.
And that's why I
I mean,
was
that's
wondering if
interesting
it
actually
was
because often it was, if you did go, it would say restarting.
Oh,
You know,
that's right
so-
too. It kept restarting the
Yeah,
container.
yeah, because so Docker would try to bring it up, but OMV would kill it, and so Docker
Yeah.
is in probably this perpetual state of, well, then let me bring it back up because you probably set it to come
Restart
up after
always.
crash, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So I mean, yeah, it was in a perpetual fight between the user that was running Docker and OMV that was controlling Docker, and they were just fighting back and forth and back and forth. Over
And
over
none
and
of
over.
this happens on a Ubuntu server, so I was completely
Well, none of this would have happened on a
fuck-witted.
Debian server either,
yeah.
right?
So
So
Or-
what I'm
but-
saying, what I'm getting at is, read the damn documentation to know how to do it right and do it right the first time.
well, I mean, I'm reading the documentation
Of Debian.
of Debian, of course, because
Yeah.
I'm just thinking
That's
in
the
my
wrong
mind,
way to do it, man. It's like it's
I'm
doing
just
the same
thinking,
thing.
well,
Like
it's
you're
just
trying.
Debian, right? No,
Yeah,
no,
you're-
they've got
you're
it.
out
Yeah,
here trying to-
I think that's part of the thing as well because you just think to yourself, oh, it's just that, so it should be the same.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's
Not
absolutely
necessarily.
not.
Right, it's based on Debian. It is not
Yeah.
Debian, right? So and that's what the same thing with Proxmox, right? Like you start trying to run a separate instance of KVM and then do all kinds of stuff over there, and you're gonna end up with weird wires crossed, and you're like, Proxmox sucks.
Are you still running the Proxmox kernel on that OMB?
No. So the Proxmox kernel was the one that caused the kernel panic. So I deleted that.
Just messing with the guts. Haven't even got anything working yet. Just messing.
Well, that
with
was
the
so that
guts.
he could have ZFS without.
But they don't
Why?
have ZFS
Stop
support
messing
anyway.
with the guts, man.
So anyway, I mean, maybe I should just leave well alone now that it's bloody working. But
No,
it did. The
that's
thought,
not
the
how we
thought
do
did occur
things.
to, yeah, the thought did occur to me about what if I exported my pool, and then got rid of Open Media Vault, and then went back to Ubuntu server, and then at least
Start
I'd
all over
have more
again.
control.
That's what you're saying.
Yes, all over again. Yeah. Okay. Now that I've said that out loud, it sounds absolutely stupid and ridiculous, and I'm not doing it.
So
When it was a thought in my head, there was some. It seemed like
that was your nerd
sanity.
brain.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
Now that I'm
you're-
talking it out, it's like
You nerd sniped
why
yourself.
on earth would I do that?
Yeah,
Now
so
that I
that
finally got it to work.
your lizard brain was like, "Ooh, that sounds fun," but then your monkey brain was like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 that's a lot of work, man. I don't know if we want
Yeah.
to do all of that." But that's like the real important thing about using tools like OMV and Proxmox is that you're not doing it yourself. You're letting the tooling help you along.
Yeah.
And the biggest point, the biggest thing you have to remember when you're using tooling like that is use the tooling the way that they built it. The moment you start, I know that you can switch kernels in there and whatever, but the moment you start getting off of the beaten path, that's the moment that you're really gonna start having troubles. And if you really truly don't understand how these things are working or whatever, or have the kind of intuition that the user that's running Docker is fighting with the OMV that's running Docker or whatever, then you're really gonna end up in this weird, mired in this thing where you just can't really get out of it without giving up. And a lot of that times the animosity that you feel or the frustration that you feel is always aimed toward the project that you're using when you're using the project wrong.
Yeah, you're holding it wrong.
Yeah, you really are though. And I mean,
No,
I hate,
you're right.
I hate to say it like that.
But
this isn't-
there are
this-
there are times there, but that is an accurate thing to say.
This is not a 3G modem in your hand holding it wrong kind of situation. This is, it was built that way. You really were in the documentation. It tells you you're holding it wrong.
And then you got me involved, and I made it even worse. So,
But you learned something. I think you both learned something.
I had used OMB before when I first started messing around with servers, but then
me too.
It was fine, but I felt like I outgrew it almost immediately, and so I didn't really remember how much you suffer when you try to go outside of their way of doing things, And that's true with most of these projects. But hey, learned a little something there, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Anyway, that's our show, kids. We will be back in 2 weeks. You know what? Email us. Let us know what kind of stuff you got going on. If you've tried messing with any of these tools that we talked about, Image or Nextcloud or what have you. If you've thought about self-hosting or whatever, don't write us talking about AI, for God's sake. No, I'm kidding.
Or do.
We we love hearing from you.
What is it actually good at? Really? I need to
Nothing.
know.
Say it again. Yeah, show at linuxotc.org. We will be back in 2 weeks. Until then, I'm Bill.
Merrick?
I'm Majid.
I'm Leo.